White House this morning, just a few moments ago, is announcing that an additional $2.5 billion in U.S. support is heading to Ukraine. President Joe Biden says the funding will provide Ukraine with an immediate influx of capabilities that it continues to use to great effect on the battlefield and longer-term supplies of air defense, artillery, and other critical weapons systems. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin has offered an apology to the president of Azerbaijan following last week's deadly plane crash in Kazakhstan, but stopped short of taking responsibility for the downing of the airliner. This comes amid mounting allegations that the plane was hit by Russian air defenses. Two U.S. military officials told NBC News on Friday that there was intelligence that indicating that Russians may have misidentified the plane as a drone and then shot it down. 38 people were killed when the plane crashed. Richard, let's turn to you on this. Putin stopped short of saying that Russia was responsible, but did offer this apology. Certainly this is not the first time they have been accused, credibly, of taking down a civilian aircraft. And now we have news this morning from the White House. More aid heading from Washington to Kyiv, set against the backdrop of a ticking clock with January 20th and a brand new approach, we assume, for President Trump coming to office. How would you assess where things stand right now in that conflict in Ukraine?
Well, in terms of Ukraine, Jonathan, the battlefield is not all that different from what it was 3 years ago when Russia invaded in February of 22. In recent months, the Russian troops have begun to gain a little bit more territory in the east. They're attacking civilian infrastructure, so there's a kind of war fatigue in Ukraine. I think rushing this equipment to Ukraine, on one hand, it's needed. On the other hand, it's not going to change any of the fundamentals. I think what's really important is to nail down the position of the Ukrainian government, that in exchange for American military support, they're prepared to compromise not their principles or their long-term goals, but accept some type of an interim or temporary ceasefire. And the reason I say that, so when Donald Trump becomes president, I think it's important that he sees Vladimir Putin rather than Mr. President Zelensky as the impediment to peace. Because Donald Trump has talked about how much he wants to bring this war to an end. Well, again, I think it's important that he sees the problem in Moscow and not in Kyiv.